Welcome back. We're here.
We're
All
here.
right.
It's Friday.
Yes.
Again.
And
Yay, Friday.
yeah, welcome, guys. Listen, we're anything that we say is not meant to diagnose you. It's just to give you education so you can do your own research. This is not meant to replace your medical care. Okay. Now, today we're going to talk about 3 topics throughout the whole presentation. Okay. So you guys want to stay tuned because there's some really good information that you've never heard.
Coming up later in the show.
And if you want to know about it, and you don't want to die of a terrible illness down the road or a disease.
Yeah, you could have learned
you
right here.
Live long, stay tuned, because this could save your life.
Live long and prosper.
Now, I'm going to mention one of the things I'm going to bring up right from the get-go.
Ah, okay.
And this has to do with the main anti-inflammatory in the body. Out of all the medication, or the groups of medications, anti-inflammatories are at the top of the food chain. So a lot of people have inflammation, they have arthritis, they have autoimmune. Mm-hmm. And so, you paying attention over here?
I'm paying attention. I'm sorry, someone had...
So,
I'm paying attention to my people down here.
There's a lot of people who have inflammation.
Okay. A lot of people with inflammation.
And so, so basically,
okay.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
There is a hormone in the body, Karen, that is the main anti-inflammatory hormone. Do you know what hormone that is?
Main anti-inflammatory hormone.
Yeah.
That would be, I feel like I know this.
Okay, you don't know.
No,
okay.
I think I do.
Okay, cortisol.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, because you think about like the medication, prednisone, cortisone cream, cortisone injections, it just gets rid of inflammation, right?
Okay.
So Karen, if cortisol suppresses inflammation, then why do so many people with inflammation have high cortisol? That's the question of the day.
That is the question.
We're going to be talking about that in about 10 minutes, the answer to that. So just ponder that. Just chew on that, Karen. Chew on that. Okay, good. Okay. So that's the...
Can I look at the social media now?
Now you can look at the social media.
Okay, good.
All right, guys. So I need to go right to Marie. She's been waiting patiently from Connecticut. Are you there, Marie?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. What's your question?
Oh, hi. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Okay, I have 2 small questions and then one that's probably a little bit more in depth. Okay, I put tea in my hot water. I mean, I put lemon in my hot tea.
Okay.
Fresh squeezed. Am I getting rid of all the benefits because I'm putting it in basically boiling water? Number 2 is I like to snack on sunflower seeds in the shell. So I probably go through a half a cup in a day. But am I getting rid of all the benefits that I've been doing because I do eat it kind of throughout the day? And the more in-depth question is, can keto help with depression in a child, a young child, or is it not nutrition and it's probably something I need to research more in depth, but not nutrition? Okay,
good. So let's take the first question, Marie. Lemon. Realize that unless it's right from the lemon, you're going to get lemon juice, and that's pasteurized. So you're really not getting the benefit of vitamin C when it's pasteurized. It's heated because it gets destroyed and exposed to oxygen. So the benefit of lemon juice really is the citric acid, which actually helps to prevent kidney stones and things like that. So that's one thing. But if you're taking regular lemon and you're squeezing it into hot water, that can basically destroy your enzymes and the activation and decrease the nutrients. So if you're doing lemon and you want to get the benefits of the vitamin C, go ahead and don't heat it up. Don't put it in hot tea. Okay? So that's number 1. Number 2, so you wanted me to hold all 3 of these questions. So number 2 had to do with snacking. That's right. Okay. You have sunflower seeds all day long. Don't recommend it because it kind of defeats the whole intermittent fasting. When you're grazing all day and snacking, you're never going to keep the insulin low. So snacking is a killer, even if it's health foods, nuts, seeds, okay? You don't want to snack. So don't do that all day long. I think what you need is a little more fat at the meal so you can go longer without the need for a snack. Now, as far as your child with a depression, I will say this, it's a symptom. We don't want to treat symptoms. My whole mission is to teach you how to get the core eating in. So chances are you won't even have any symptoms after that. So regardless of whatever symptoms someone has, if they're not on the basic eating plan that's establishing good blood sugars, providing nutrients, keeping insulin normal, then treating symptoms would be a waste of time. So I would be pretty hopeful that by getting him on this basic eating plan that he probably won't have very much depression after that. That's just my guess, but I would definitely do it because the carbs create the blood sugar issue and that affects the mood. Okay? Good questions. Now we need to go to Kwame from California, and I know I didn't pronounce your name that well, but is it Kwame? Are you there?
Yes, Dr. Berg, it is Kwame. You pronounce it right.
Hey, I got it right. I got one right this week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So my basic question is I'm doing keto and then I'm on 3 meals now, even though for 70 days, I was able to do 2 meals because I had some downtime. But now the primary issue is regardless of what I eat, if I talk for more than 1 hour, I get a hypoglycemic symptoms like feeling dizzy, needing to eat. And I was wondering, is there anything that I can do to overcome that or improve that?
Good question. Now, can you just real briefly tell me what you would eat in an average meal?
Average, like breakfast, I would eat 4 eggs, omelet, and then I'll have 4 avocados. And then in the afternoon, it will be cauliflower with cucumber, and then with olive oil, apple cider vinegar, and then also with salmon, about 17 grams of protein, and then with 4 avocados.
Okay.
And then I do the blood sugar support, the wheatgrass, and all that.
Okay. And so what happens, you start feeling blood sugar issues right in the middle, like you can't go for a long period of time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I'm talking, like let's say if I have to do a presentation or if I have to talk to somebody for more than 1 hour.
Oh, okay. I think, do you ever get nervous when you're talking?
No,
okay.
I don't get nervous.
Okay. So I think there's a couple things I would do to improve that. I think you probably have insulin resistance and you're not quite out of the woods yet. I would do this. I would beef up, no pun intended, your electrolytes, primarily potassium and magnesium. Those 2 minerals majorly help improve insulin resistance. So that's what I would do. The other thing that I think you probably need to do, you're getting a lot of potassium, obviously from the avocados, but the fact that you can't go longer means that you might need a little bit more. And I would also add a different type of fat to see if that will help you too. I would add saturated fat like butter or coconut oil, and see if that, and just add a little bit more fat to see if that doesn't help you. And then just give it a little bit more time. That's what I would do. And you might need some vitamin D as well. Good question though. All right, Karen.
Lots of great questions this morning.
Hey, you know what?
What?
I have to bring up, a lot of people want to know when are we going to announce the new slogan. I just want to tell you guys, we have so many responses that it's taking a while for us to get through it because that's something we can't delegate. We have to literally, read through each one of them. We have hundreds, so it's taking a little time.
Thousands.
No, not thousands.
Millions.
No, it's hundreds. And we will get through them very soon. We're going to work on it this weekend, but IP.
You could have joined along on that.
Okay, yeah, it was thousands. It was thousands. It was thousands, Karen.
Billion, right? Like, trying to have a little fun here.
All right, Karen. Okay.
But hey, can I say this? Date?
Yes.
Okay. So I did want to mention for you guys, we did pick a date for the Keto Summit. And in doing it, we wanted to keep prices as low as possible. And the date is, drum roll, nobody's paying attention. It's over the Labor Day weekend in September, which is like 7th, 8th, and 9th, I think. So that weekend, most people already have some time off. DC is gorgeous that time of year.
So it's the 8th and 9th. That'll be Saturday
Well,
and
no,
Sunday.
because they'll come in Friday.
No, the actual date that it's going to be.
Starts at the
Saturday and
butt
Sunday.
crack of dawn on Saturday.
8th and 9th of September,
Okay.
right? Okay, good.
I'm gonna sneeze.
Okay,
Okay, so now it's social media turn.
go ahead.
Okay, good. So Anna, I think she was on Facebook, is asking about platelets, high platelets, and diet, or keto diet. Obviously, you're going to talk about keto and IF, but what can be done for that?
Okay, so this comes up a lot. I think I want to just bring this up right now. Like, oh, I have high platelets, I have high white blood cell, I have blood in my urine, I have like high liver enzymes. Like, no matter what's going on, the first thing I'm going to tell everyone every single time is, are you doing the healthy keto and intermittent fasting exactly like I mentioned in the book? Are you doing it? Because if you're not, that's the first thing I'm going to implement or tell you to implement, because who knows what that could come from, any number of things, but if you don't get the basic kind of the basic
Foundation.
thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
it. It's the foundation.
That's why I'm here.
You're not going to actually, you're going to have all these little stuff. I mean, you're going to be shocked to find out how many things normalize when you implement these things. I mean, it's literally shocking. Why? Because so many problems are connected to high insulin. So many things are connected. So that's what I would recommend. I don't necessarily even like to treat symptoms until we know that you've implemented this for at least 2 years. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
A couple
But
weeks.
rolling right off of that, why don't you just list off on your fingers what kinds of metabolic diseases show up because of high insulin or insulin resistance?
Well, you have all sorts of things with the eye, from the lens, cataracts, glaucoma, that's pressure in the eye. You have
Retinal
retinopathy, with the eye, the nerve degenerates. You have floaters, poor vision. You might even need glasses. I know that's hard to believe. Some people need glasses. And then you also have stuff with the kidney and the heart. Oh my gosh, clogged artery, stiffening of the arteries, hardening of the arteries. Then you have a fatty liver, not to mention a belly fat, fatigue, asthma, sleep apnea. I mean, mood issues, dementia. Some people might even have a hard time remember where their keys are. I know that's shocking.
Are there glasses?
Right, which is on their head. So there's just so many things that are connected. Acne. I mean, I'm like, when I start digging into it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's like almost every chronic inflammatory condition you can imagine.
Okay,
it's a
good.
lot.
So then rolling right off that, got a question I get every week. What would be in one sentence, the best way to get started on healthy keto and intermittent fasting?
Well, I think there's two ways. I would definitely go to drberg.com, okay? And there's a button there at the top of the header. It says keto. If you press that button, literally, you can read everything you'd ever want to know about keto. It's all right there on that one page, right on the website. That's what I would do if I were you.
Well, and also
I'm
you
not
have
used to it.
you have videos that say how to get started.
Well,
They're free little courses.
the thing is, I'm just mentioning go to the keto thing because now I'm going to have to tell you where to find that video, which might not be as easy at this point. So I'm just saying.
We're making some changes to make things
Yeah,
easier.
exactly.
I see what you're saying. Okay, well, there's 1,000,001 videos on exactly how to do that. Also, there's that book you can get. Hold up the book.
Well, this book and this book come together. Go to the site, get it. But this book actually, I am going to be changing the name, but we're going to keep the same book. But it'll give you everything you need to know. And if you're serious about really doing it correctly, you're going to have questions. Might as well just do it correct from the very beginning, rather than try to like, oh, I have this symptom now. What do I do for that? Well, we found that you're eating the wrong types of fats.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of foods give you vitamin D?
Well, at the top of the food chain, cod liver oil, and then we get salmon, wild-caught salmon, and then, of course, sun. Now, let's say, for example, you don't like fatty fish, and you don't like liver, and you don't like eggs, and you don't like to go in the sun. Then what do? Mushrooms.
So
You eat mushrooms.
D3 K2 formula.
Yeah, you take the pill.
Take the pill. Okay, good. Well, I'm on a roll here. Can I get one more in?
One more, and then I have to fly here.
Okay, good. So, so someone here is going through divorce, and they get increased hunger at night, and sometimes 2 in the morning. What can they do?
Yeah, so that means you have high cortisol. The cortisol is a stress hormone, and that's going to release a lot of sugar, mobilize a lot of sugar, and that's what the person's going on. So they're going to have to take more nutritional yeast. You can get it in a tablet form. Those are the B vitamins. Take like maybe about 9 a day. You can chew them. That will help greatly. And then right before you go to bed, there's a little secret.
A secret.
Yeah.
Good.
You want to take a little water with about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. You can take it in a straw, but the apple cider vinegar will help to stabilize your blood sugars through the whole night. Now, realize when you're under stress like that, you're going through a stressful time, you're going to have a little more sugar in the body. So exercise is important just to clear off the excess sugar that you're generating. So you need to do long walks every day just to get rid of that excess sugar. That will help.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
Yep.
Good. Now I can go to Les from Illinois. Are you there?
Yes. Thank
Great.
you for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, Dr. Berg. After your last call, I'm not sure if I should ask this question, but it did have to do with some results from blood work. I've been on keto about 6 weeks or almost 2 months, but anyway, I'm doing fine. I don't have any issues. I got a weird response on my TSH. My TSH has always been high, and my TSH come back at 10.3. And of course, the doctor that I'm going to, and that's my second question, I'm wondering if I could get a list of, if there's any way I could find a list of doctors that you have trained that might be in the St. Louis area. That's kind of my second question. But I was just wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on the thyroid. I think I saw in one of your videos you talked about taking thytrophin PMG to kind of help remove some of those thyroid antibodies, but would you mind talking about that a little bit?
Yeah, just real quick, did they find high levels of antibodies or not, or don't you know?
Well, not in this test. This was just kind of a basic test. I'm 65 years old, and this one was just kind of a basic test. They didn't test for anything but TSH. They didn't even test for T3 and T4. So that's why I'm not too excited about it. But I thought it might be able to do something to help it a little bit.
It's kind of like going to get your car fixed, and well, we got a red light going on, but we didn't look in your engine. We didn't really look at the whole mechanism. There's a lot of things that occur, especially with hormones. And here's the big problem that I want to talk about, Les, and I'm glad you brought this up now, is that you can't really evaluate what the heck's going on just with your hormone levels, if it's high or low, because you're only looking at one little piece of the puzzle. You're not looking at what's happening in the thyroid receptors, for example. Is that thyroid-stimulating hormone that's coming from the pituitary down into the thyroid, is it connecting to the thyroid? Is it making T4? Is T4 then converting to T3? Like, these are all questions. Like, so you can't, it'd just be like a guess right now. So you need to get a complete profile, look at everything, and then do your evaluation, or else you're just going to be guessing. And this is the problem in medicine, is they don't really look very wide. They look kind of just at this one thing, and then they don't actually even look at the trigger. Like, if you just started keto, and then we have high levels of thyroid-stimulating hormone, I would want to know what's happening to your actual T4 and T3, because there is going to be a thyroid adjustment, especially if you're doing intermittent fasting, because your body is not eating as frequently, and it doesn't need to use as many hormones, so there's going to be like a shift. The main thing I would go by is, how do you feel? Do you feel good? Are you tired? Are your eyes bulging out? Is there a hyper situation? So those are the things that I would do, but I would, for right now, go back, get a thorough test, and then call back next week. All right. Thanks, Les, because we can't really evaluate it. I'm sorry. We need to go to Rhonda from Missouri. Are you there, Rhonda?
I am.
Hi. What was
I
your
have a
question?
simple question. Still with high blood pressure. I haven't had that until just recently. I kind of know the long-term things to do. If you want to expound on that, that'd be great. But is there something that I can do, or what can I do to bring it down immediately?
Well, are you doing healthy keto and intermittent fasting?
I am. We moved to kind of throw us off kilter, basically. But
Okay.
yes, I do intermittent fasting. I probably need to up my greens. That's what
Yeah. So the biggest thing you have to realize is that potassium is usually potassium's involved, and high blood pressure is usually a potassium deficiency. And guess where you get potassium? Do you know where you get potassium?
The greens.
Thank you very much. The greens. So what you need to do is you need to consume, and I just actually clicked you off, I'm sorry about that. You need to consume more these things called vegetables, okay? Or take, and in addition you can enhance it with some potassium, electrolyte powder. That would be very good to take. So I have one that has 1,000 milligrams. If you take 2 scoops, you'll get a lot of potassium, and from that. So that's what I would recommend to see a nice change right off the bat. But this keeps coming back to this one point that I'll say one more time, and then I'm going to zipit.com.
I bet you'll say it again.
Before you address your symptoms, make sure your keto, your healthy keto, and your intermittent fasting is fully implemented correctly.
Per the book.
Yeah,
Per the videos.
buy the book.
Buy the book, like B-Y the book, or B-U-Y the book.
And this brings up, I think it's time to talk about this first point that I brought up initially, Karen.
You're really ready.
I'm ready. So
Okay.
so we have cortisol is the main anti-inflammatory.
Right.
It's very powerful. It lowers inflammation, okay? So why the heck would someone with high cortisol have any inflammation in their body?
One person tried to answer this, I think. I think everyone was just hoping you were going to spit out the answer. I mean, there were a few comments, but one person said, sort of like insulin, that the body then becomes resistant.
That person was correct.
Woo!
So you can have, you have insulin resistance, right? You also have cortisol resistance. You can have resistance to pretty much any hormone, testosterone, estrogen, thyroid hormones, because the superior element to this whole communication chain of events is the receptor. The receptor is the listener, and the gland is the talker. So we have this talking and listening conversation going on. But you also have this feedback loop that comes around, and it's like an acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever talk to someone and you had an argument, most likely it stems from one of the persons not listening or acknowledging, which is listening, and acknowledging correctly.
Did you say something?
No, I didn't say anything. I was just looking at the
sorry.
door over there. So,
We know this.
so what happens is that in the body, if you have a lot of cortisol being pumped out because you're chronically under stress, or it could be a kind of a stress state that you might even not associate with stress, extreme loneliness, lonely, chronic pain, injury, losses, being stuck taking care of a sick parent or a sick child or whatever for many, many years. Like there's so many
Even
stresses.
big events, big life events.
Yeah.
Like a preparing for a wedding or a
Or a
move
summit.
or something, or a keto summit.
So you have this whole thing where you have the body will protect itself against this high level of hormones. So it starts to shutting down, it downgrades. So you have cortisol resistance. Now what happens, the body's going to start pumping out massive amounts. The problem is it doesn't work, it's ineffective, it doesn't connect. So you have this situation where you have high and low symptoms of cortisol, yet you have all the symptoms of low cortisol, but your blood tests show high. Now, the problem is, like, if you don't understand this whole thing that's going on, you're going to give the person more cortisol and make it worse. So that's the point I was going to bring up about this. That's like
That's your
very,
story.
very important.
And you're sticking to it.
Yeah, because that's really important to know about. Like, you really have to look at the whole picture and stand back and says, wait a second, what is the trigger? Okay, how can we actually eliminate the trigger? Even if you look online, okay, look up insulin resistance, for example, and you type on Wikipedia, which we know all that information is 100% correct.
100% true.
The first part of it, right at the end, it tells you the secret to how to fix insulin resistance right in Wikipedia. It says avoid carbohydrate diets, or not avoid carbohydrate diets, go low on the carbohydrates, cut down the sugar, and your insulin resistance will go away.
So in that case, Wikipedia is correct.
They are correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Wow, okay, I'm glad I got that out.
Wow, you got that off your chest. Like that
I've
was
been meaning
good.
to
It
talk
was
about
like
that
relief.
for
I can feel
months. Okay, so now we need to go to Ruth
Okay.
from Texas.
Ah.
Hey, Ruth.
Hi.
Hi.
Calling to bug you again. This
Hey,
I was
time-
going to say, is
we
this,
like
is
it
this
when you bug
Ruth
us.
from Texas?
Yes.
That's Ruth from Texas?
Yes.
This is Ruth from Texas.
All right.
But I have orange palms. Orange palms, and I'm definitely keto for 2 years, 1 meal a day, drinking my 7 to 10 cups of vegetables. I was drinking a lot of the spinach and the parsley until I saw the vitamin D and calcium video, which said that the lectins were not letting my calcium move. I do have very cracked nails.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming it's because the calcium wasn't getting to my body from all the spinach I was eating. I can't really eat the kale, so I was eating the spinach instead, but I've changed to the red leaf lettuce and
And the pound
other
of
fancy.
carrots a day?
No,
So-
I'm not
no, okay.
eating any carrots.
No,
That's
it's
why I
fine.
don't understand why my palms are orange, because I don't eat any carrots. I just eat green vegetables. Now, I do have some bell peppers for the vitamin C in the bell peppers, and I drink lemon juice every day, fresh lemon juice every day. But I take all your vitamins and minerals, like the minerals and the electrolytes, but I can't think of anything that would make my palms orange. The other question I had for you is a good friend of mine had a pulmonary embolism.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on keto for a couple of weeks now, but I was wondering if there are any supplements that he could add or any tests that he could ask his doctor for to know that he no longer has to take the Coumadin because he's on Coumadin. So those are my two questions: my orange palms, my brittle nails, and the pulmonary embolism.
Okay. Well, I think it's time for another video. Why you have orange palms, which is the real
That is a
common
new one.
common symptom that a lot of people have.
It
that-
is?
No,
No.
no, it's not very
It's
common.
only Ruth from Texas.
I mean, when you
No,
think
I'm
when you're
kidding.
talking about
It's not just you, Ruth.
what comes up with that, color anywhere in your body, I'm thinking, okay, number one, is the person consuming a lot of beta carotene from carrots? No, they're not. Okay. Could it be liver possibly? Like a little jaundice possibly. Yeah, well, maybe. It's really, really hard to know exactly. What I would probably do, since it's a pigment problem, is I would, since you're doing so well and you're feeling great and you're doing everything correct, I would just change up your vegetables to do just different types of vegetables and see if that doesn't help you, because sometimes there could be some pigment from a certain vegetable that's not being digested and it's being backed up in the skin. That's my wild guess. Now, as far as pulmonary embolism, that person needs to do healthy keto and intermittent fasting hardcore because they have to lower insulin. That would be the most important thing. The other thing to do is to take a really high quality vitamin E complex, not a synthetic, a real one, that will actually thin the blood and help heal the reason why you got it in the first place. But when you go back to the doctor, get a test, coronary artery calcium test. It's way better than a cholesterol test. It'll give you indications of what's going on into the heart and the coronary artery, and then see if they can work out whether they can come off of it or not. Brittle nails, I think you're on your road to success with that because you've just identified some of those lectins or anti-nutrients. To mobilize calcium, you also need vitamin F. which is basically an unsaturated fatty acids. Like I would do like maybe a little flax oil or a little more fish oils to help mobilize calcium. That's what I would do if I were you. But I'm just saying, just suggesting it. Thanks, Ruth.
Ruth, when you come to the Keto Summit next year, you need to wear a T-shirt that just says Ruth from Texas. I think that would be fun.
Yes, and I'll definitely get a T-shirt. I no longer have orange palms.
And
Okay, good. So what do
We
we
love
have?
you,
Do we have
Ruth.
any questions coming in?
yeah, so here's someone, they have no thyroid.
Okay.
They've been on keto for 6 months. Again, assuming healthy keto and intermittent fasting, but it just says been on keto for 6 months. Still having fatigue issues.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing everything correct, then of course you need the B vitamins, specifically B1. That would be very important. There's something that I came out with to address that. It's called Mitochondrial Energy. It's pretty good because it's a very natural B1, and it's not just any old B1. It's extremely expensive B1. I couldn't find one that even compared to the quality, so I bit the bullet and I included that as one of the main ingredients. But you need B1 is the spark plug to help ignite the mitochondrial energy. That's what I would do if I were you. I would increase the amount of B vitamins. That should help you.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Now another question, if you don't have a gallbladder, can that condition alone...
Oh, wait a second.
Oh, what?
Let me go back. This person doesn't have a thyroid and they're tired.
Yeah.
Oh, ding, ding, ding.
Delete that.
That could, well, no, just still take the B1, but
Oh.
I think I would go to the doc and get your thyroid medication or your hormones adjusted. So I'm assuming you are on some Synthroid or something. I would get that adjusted because I think it relates to the actual thyroid hormone itself. So you might need a little bit more. And then the other thing is like you might want to consider getting like Armor, which is a combination of like all the thyroid hormones together that you would take.
Ask your doctor.
Check with your doctor on that. And last thing would be to maybe take some purified bile salts, support the gallbladder, because you may have a conversion problem with that thyroid, and in which case that could be why you're tired. Okay, now we can go back to the other question.
Okay. So
Someone
the other
doesn't have a gallbladder.
doesn't have a gallbladder, wondering, can that condition alone lead to diabetes?
Well, it depends on if you changed your eating.
Right.
It really does, because the original reason why people have their gallbladder out, and by the way, a lot of people that have the gallbladder out also are pre-diabetic and diabetic, and that's because one of the big causes of gallstones is high levels of insulin. So will gallbladder out cause diabetes? No, but high insulin will. So you got to change your diet so you can actually not end up in that boat. Okay?
Okay, good.
All right, good.
Do I get another question?
You get one more, Karen.
Yay! Okay, here's someone who they're apparently on keto, husband and wife,
Okay.
and pregnant. Really, really want to know what else can be done because they've been trying and they've had 8 failures
Yeah.
in this. And so they really want to know what specifically can be done beyond keto and intermittent fasting, or how much, like a pregnant woman, how much keto and intermittent fasting can you do? I think that was a bit more of the question.
Okay, so I would definitely be going 1 meal a day for sure.
As a pregnant woman?
She's not pregnant yet. She's trying to
No,
get
she's
pregnant.
pregnant.
Oh, she's trying to become.
She's pregnant, right?
She wants
She's-
to actually have it sustain and
Right,
not abort. Okay.
right.
I think at that point I would not do 1 meal a day. I would probably do 2 meals a day, and just make sure that you're getting enough of your nutrients. So you got to be careful because you don't want to be cutting down your nutrients when you're pregnant, because that could be a problem. I mean, you may even need to do 3 meals a day. You know, the point is that you probably don't want to do intermittent fasting, but you can definitely do healthy keto. You need to really beef up your fats, your healthy fats, a high-quality cod liver oil, healthy, high-quality butters. We found some really good butter. We go through a lot of butter.
We eat
I love
a lot of butter.
butter from Finland, Norwegian butter. I love, butter from Ireland. So I'm into butter. But
We're
here's
into butter.
here's the thing. Royal jelly is a good supplement to take. Take
you're
also, yeah.
Mm.
Also to take a really good vitamin E, like for example, food-based vitamin E, tocotrienols, that's a part of the vitamin E complex, because they found with animals at least that when you're deficient in vitamin E, you just don't deliver. Your fertility goes right down. So these are things I would do. And then lastly, but not least, I would go online on Amazon and try to find, you could probably even find, go to standardprocess.com. Standard Process had a product, it's called Ovex PMG, no, it's Ovotrophin PMG. Get that product, Ovotrophin PMG, and take like 3 a day. That just supports the ovary. Since that's what we're dealing with is, we're dealing with ovary and we're also dealing with the uterus, but that's what I would do if I
You
were
were
you.
a pregnant woman.
If I was pregnant. I was going to not say that, but since you brought that up.
But you said something in there that confused me.
Okay.
You said I would do 2 meals a day, but not intermittent fasting.
Okay, so I backtracked on that.
Okay.
I would be careful about doing intermittent fasting because you don't want to cut your calories down. So if, maybe even just do 3 meals a day, unless you're like completely not hungry,
Right.
and then do 2 meals a day. But the point is that you don't want to start
Big nutritious meals.
Yeah, you just don't want to do anything that would decrease your nutrients.
Fair enough.
Fair enough?
enough.
Okay, you okay with that
Now,
answer?
did you have a second big point that you wanted to talk about?
Yes, I did, Karen.
Okay.
I did. There's actually 2 more points. I'm going to talk about one now, and I'm going to save
One
the best for last.
coming
okay?
up later in the show.
Yeah. The one, well, I'm not going to even tell you what it is. But the one I'm going to talk about right now relates to GMO foods. Okay, GMO. So here's the thing, guys. This is really, 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 really important. Most of the GMO foods have been sprayed with glyphosate, which is a chemical. It's a chemical. But here's the data I need to tell you, and it's just the amount of glyphosate that is in our food supply and in our environment is way more than you think. Since 1974, there's basically worldwide, there's been 9.4 million tons of glyphosate being injected into our environment. 9.4 million tons. Let me give you a comparable.
What would that be like? How many swimming pools? How many?
2,300 Olympic swimming pools full of glyphosate.
And how much glyphosate can kill you?
Parts per, well, I can't tell you that, but I will say that it's very, very small amounts that accumulate over time, like parts per billion over time. It accumulates in your body. Here's the problem, guys. Like, you don't really know where it is because the labeling, they don't have to label it in America at least. And the amounts that are so-called safe in America are really higher than, 3 times higher than in Europe. So it's a problem. I'm not going to tell you it's going to cause a problem in your body. I'm just telling you it's not been researched thoroughly yet. There's a lot of unknowns. There's been some research, like one long-term study that's been redacted, so which I think it's all political. But the point is that it is a time bomb, and you can't really go by the industry doing all the studies. There's not like independent studies are very suppressed or squashed, and there's not a lot of long-term studies. The point is that you need to actively and aggressively start eating non-GMO foods. So either it's going to say non-GMO on the label, or it's going to say organic. But even that, you could be getting a small amount, but the point is that you need to put more attention on reading labels. And I'm talking about even like meats.
You were talking about
dairy.
the bacon and the
Bacon. Like you buy this bacon, right? It says all natural, nitrate-free, but it's still not organic. You got it, or you have to have non-GMO because the grains that are fed to these animals are soaked in glyphosate. So soy, corn, canola.
Can you say, because I know, can you say why that is, or why did they do that?
I'm not going to get into the
Yeah.
intention or motivation. You probably know what that is, but you can figure it out, read between the lines. But the point is that there's just so much in our environment, and the research is suppressed. And it's just like this huge, huge elephant in the room that's I think it's going to create a lot more problems. So you just need to start doing organic.
Do your homework. Do your homework and eat organic.
Eat organic and non-GMO as much as you can. Now the cool thing is too that you can also take things like healthy cruciferous vegetables, for example, that help to detoxify that out of the body. And there's other things too that will help detoxify it. Fulvic acid and humic acid, you can get that as a supplement, will help to detoxify that as well.
Say that again.
Fulvic or humic acid.
Helps to.
Detoxify glyphosate out of the system.
That's great.
But also cruciferous will help as well. All right, so that's number 2. That
Okay.
was life-changing information.
That was life-changing information.
Wait
Right
till you-
there. You heard it today, this
Wait
morning,
till you
right
hear
here, Dr.
of the
Bergloff.
third tip
Oh
coming
my gosh.
very soon, guys. Don't go away yet.
I can't wait.
I need to go to Nancy. Are you there? I'm from Colorado.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I got you on speakerphone so my husband can hear as well.
Okay.
Hi, Nancy's husband.
Jim, he's a devout follower.
Hi, Jim.
He's the one that got me on keto through you. So,
All right,
Awesome.
Jim.
Wow, I've actually got a million questions, but I'll try and narrow it down. As I'm doing this, I'm finding that there's more and more factors involved in getting the whole healthy picture. So you have to get the sleep, you have to get the exercise, everything. Right now I'm focusing on my glucose, my blood sugar level. I've been diagnosed as pre-diabetic, and I had gestational diabetes twice. So I'm watching my blood sugar levels. I bought myself a little machine. My fasting levels are terrible. When I get up in the morning, my blood sugar level is like 132. It's been as high as 155 in the morning.
Okay.
It goes down after I eat, which to me is bizarre because I would think that it would go up when I eat. But it's the fasting that I'm really worried about getting lower. I've been doing keto for a few months now. Yeah, 3 to 4 months, I guess. I'm trying to be very good. I'm down to 2 meals a day. I usually eat somewhere around noon to 1 o'clock is my first meal, and then I'll have a dinner. I do have coffee in the morning with my almond milk, and it's a coconut almond milk combo. And anyway,
Yeah.
my husband's distracting me. He's trying to get me to speed up here. So I'm trying to figure out what to do to get my blood sugars down. I found some supplements that are supposed to help with insulin resistance, and I didn't know if they're really effective and when to take them. And like I said, I've got a million questions for you, and I'm trying to be concise, but I'm...
Let me just give you a couple tips, okay? Real quick.
Okay.
I'll just tell you a couple tips. Number 1, I can't really tell you about other supplements, but I will say to support the healthy blood sugars, there's one that is really good that I recommend. It's my own product. It's called blood sugar support formula. And the reason I recommend that is because I just recently added an additional ingredient, which is pancreatic extract, which you're not going to even find any products out there with that ingredient. And I looked at the research, it's pretty amazing. So that's one thing that I would do. I would do the electrolyte mix because you want to increase the potassium. I did a video on, I think it might have been 10 things to improve insulin resistance, because that's what you want to focus on. I would just personally watch the videos that I have on insulin resistance, and you'll find that video and start following the list. I think you're on the right track. You just have to give it more time. Make sure your keto is perfect. But the fact that your blood sugars are higher when you're fasting just tells me that you're in a transition phase, and your liver is probably making a little bit too much sugar. So you want to keep working on the liver. You just got to give it more time. Add in exercise for sure, Nancy. That way it'll run off this excess sugar, and it'll speed things up. Other than that, I think you're going to be fine. Okay, good.
Keep going.
Yes.
And you have a lot of questions. Make sure you read the book and watch videos, because a lot of those questions I'm sure are answered, right?
Yeah, I actually try to handle every single possible angle of every single question. And so there's a lot there. It's just a matter of just finding it. So Denise from Kentucky is on the line. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you today?
Great.
I had a question regarding, I have a family member who's trying to switch over to a keto diet, but unfortunately, whenever they do try to switch to a better diet, they have gout flares.
Yeah.
And I was hoping you could tell me what the best treatment for the gout flare would be.
There's a couple things about gout that are actually quite fascinating. It's a uric acid problem, and uric acid, believe it or not, in the body is an antioxidant. Yeah. So when you do intermittent fasting, sometimes you have this spike of uric acid, but then it comes down with more time. The quick thing to do with gout symptoms is to alkalize the urine a little bit, because the acidic natures where you have this release of these crystals that are forming usually in the big toe and in the kidney. And the problem is, like, what's happening in the kidney is in the big toe, in the joint, is also happening in the kidney. So these little crystals are literally scraping and irritating the lining of your joint, unfortunately, and creating inflammation, and it can flare up. So you need to, on a regular basis, take potassium citrate. This is why all of the minerals that I put in my electrolyte powder are citrates, and they're all alkaline. So that's a no-brainer. You just take a couple scoops of that each day, and that should keep the symptoms down. The other thing is you want to be careful about doing too much protein. You're going to have to avoid things that increase uric acid, like chocolate and things like that, or like sausage, organ meats. There's a whole series of foods that are high in purines, and then just kind of keep your protein moderate, not too high. Do more greens, do more lemon juice, and that's what I would do if I were you. I think that will help you greatly, but it's all about keeping the urine from being a little too acidic, okay? So we just have to make it a little bit more alkaline with that potassium citrate. That seems to be an easy fix. Thanks, Denise. All right, Karen,
Okay.
we're going to go to social media right now.
Awesome. Here's one. Hi, please, I need your answer. Can nitrogen gallstones be dissolved and take them out from my gallbladder? My doctor said I have to take out my gallbladder because the stones are based on nitrogen.
Well, I have no clue if that's possible. I don't know how big your stones are. I don't know what your condition is, but this comes right back down to something new I'm going to tell you. Probably never heard this before. Implement your basic keto, healthy keto plan and intermittent fasting first, okay? And see if that doesn't just help you. There's a couple things that will help to reduce gallstones. One is purified bile salts. You can take gallbladder formula, you take some purified bile salts, and then that will help over time. But you want to be careful not to go completely low fat, because saturated fats trigger bile. So you want to just do healthy keto and
Intermittent fasting.
Okay, good.
I'm laughing here because
when she's supposed to be listening to me, she's reading, and then she's
I'm
laughing.
reading. My people on social media are constantly communicating.
Like I'm doing my thing, she's doing her thing over here.
I am putting attention on social media, but I'm laughing because someone typed. I did everything Karen said, and I lost 25 pounds and kept it off for 18 months.
Karen, I'm going to give you the mic. You obviously are getting all the results here.
No, this is one person. I must have said something good. Maybe they meant to say Dr. Berg and Karen.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm your shadow. Hey, but I did have another question here. Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It was another good piece of feedback. Lizzie said her husband used the ketogenic diet and reversed his pituitary damage. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, well, that makes sense, because you're basically supporting the endocrine system. You're actually straightening up the endocrine system, which has been messed up, and you're going to put these communications right back in alignment. So you're going to normalize a lot of endocrine flows. So thereby, probably a lot of things that are growing that shouldn't be growing there are going to normalize. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Any
was
other
cool. I
questions
just
you
wanted
had?
to read that because.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here's one that's pertinent to write about now because regardless of when you're watching this, it's wintertime. A lot of people getting the flu and stuff. I'm just recovering from stomach flu, diarrhea, vomiting, fever. What is the best break to the fast? I guess you've been not eating with all of this going on, which is good because fasting, starve,
So how to break the
a
fast?
cold, feed a fever.
Okay.
How to break if you're just that sick and you've just, been vomiting, diarrhea, flu,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
So here's what you want to do. When you're actually breaking the fast, you want to make sure you don't eat, especially if it's a prolonged fast, you don't want to eat a lot of food. You want to start off with just a little bit, wait some time, have a little bit more, because you can overload the system. Also, you want to do fluids like electrolytes, especially if you've had either diarrhea or vomiting. So you want to put those electrolytes back. I think apple cider vinegar would be good because if you lose your acid, that would be a problem. So apple cider vinegar with water, electrolytes, that would be the best thing. And that's pretty much the basics. Maybe some, broth, soup, some chicken noodle soup or something. I'm just kidding. Have a real healthy type of soup. Hey, we're going to go to Susan from Oregon. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm
Great.
not sure that my throat thinks that I'm here or not.
All right, great.
Good morning.
Good morning. What was your question?
I am a 61-year-old. I've been on keto and intermittent fasting for a year and a half, lost all my pain and inflammation. Thank you so much. And I realized that I have a fatty liver. And your videos say it may take about 3 years to detox your fatty liver. So what I want to know is, am I on the right track? What are the symptoms, the body sensations that you should be expecting to feel as your liver is detoxing?
Good question. I think it boils down to, if you're doing, also I recommend all these, the vegetables as well, because the vegetables and even some of the fats, like from the egg yolk, you have choline. Choline is also in the cruciferous. So when you're consuming that, that's going to speed up the cleaning out of the fat from the liver, and that's really, really important. As the liver's coming out of the body, you got to make sure the gallbladder is really good, so there's no backup. Like, let's say you had constipation, that would be bad because we want this fat to come out and actually have the bile help to detoxify some of the liver stuff that's in it. And as the fat cells are released, or the fat in the fat cells are released, you have also chemicals and stuff that are in there that have to come out, so it all comes out to the gallbladder. The point I'm trying to make is that you want to keep in the basic things that I tell you and then give it more time, but you can add choline to speed it up. There are so many people that have a fatty liver that don't know it. How would you know? Well, you need to do an ultrasound. And if you look down right now, everyone look down at their gut, and you see this bulge sticking out in your midsection. What that is, that's a spillover of fat from the liver that's spilling out around the viscera or the organs. So even though you can't see your liver and you might not notice it, I think it's really, really important to, the next time you're at your doctor, just to get an ultrasound of the liver, just to see how much fat is in the liver. Because I think the awareness of knowing that is important. And then over time, the improvement of that. Because when you have fat on the liver, eventually it creates more insulin resistance, and it also creates inflammation, and it creates cirrhosis eventually. So it can be totally prevented by doing healthy keto and intermittent fasting, but it does take some time. So I think I would just hang in there, Susan. I think you're on the right path. The way that you're going to know that things are improved, but is the stomach, is your stomach shrinking? Then you know for sure. And an ultrasound might help. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to go to Carol from Canada, Ontario, where it's nice and warm. Are you there?
Oh, absolutely. It's freezing outside today. Very cold. Dr. Berg, first of all, I just want to thank you. You've changed my life.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely. So my journey started at the end of my pregnancy, which was 6 years ago. I was fine. I was 134 pounds, always active, never had any major health problems. So anyways, at the end of the pregnancy, I was, here we have a maternity leave that's a year, right? So I wanted to work up until a week before. I had an infection, so I wasn't feeling well and, didn't want to treat with antibiotics. Got worse and worse. Went into an earlier labor, and I was diagnosed with pneumonia. So this is how the problem sort of started. After I had the baby, I was feeling okay, but within 6 months, one day I'd have breast milk. The next day I wouldn't. Very exhausted, right? So they chalked it up to depression. I'm not depressed, kind of not fighting, but, adamant saying something's wrong. So after I pressed for some answers and we finally did a full panel, my thyroid was completely out of whack. A few years down the road, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's and then also with lupus, so 2 autoimmune disorders. So here I am, suddenly from my norm of, 135 pounds roughly up to about 210. Can't shake any weight, up and down, going to specialists all over, tweaking my thyroid medications, trying everything I can, trying to do these crash diets to see if I could lose the weight, because that's what I thought. Maybe if I lose the weight, I'll feel better,
So, Carol, I have a question. Are you doing like the healthy ketosis intermittent fasting that I recommend, or are you not on that now?
No, I am. So I just started. So in December, I had my full panel done again by my family physician. Horrible. My thyroid, everything was off the rocker. I've been watching you, though, since about October 2018. So anyways, I thought, you know what? One night, sat here. I have a 5-year-old girl. I never have the energy to do anything with my family, right? Never have the energy. Miscarried a few times as well. Just a lot of things. And I thought, you know what? I need to jump in. What this guy's saying really makes sense. Right. It's resonating with me. I'm going to try it. Okay. Basically, went through the pantry. A lot of, which is bad, but I donated all the pasta, all that, all of that. All the stuff that we were used to eating.
I have about 30 seconds left, but try to give me the exact.
No problem. So I just wanted to let you know I've been within 2 weeks, everything went back to normal. So it was a while to lose weight, but now from December I started at 191 pounds, and just recently I'm starting to lose the weight. I'm 174 now. My doctor is totally on board. She's been doing the urinalysis for me, and now I'm in a higher state of ketosis. It really works. I just want to tell other people that have these autoimmune problems, you can get over it, and I'll be redoing my screening for lupus in March, because it's almost like it's undetectable right now. So it's really amazing that changing your diet, cleaning your vegetables, just eating really well. And the only thing I do take is a B complex and also extra B12.
Well, Carol, this brings up the point. You're welcome. And this is the point I've been telling you. Like, if you get in these basic things, your body will change for the better. And you're a perfect example. So well done, and thank you for that success. That is amazing. So we have Leslie.
You have one more point to make here?
I know. I need to go to Leslie, and then we're going to talk about this last vital piece of information. Okay, Leslie, are you there?
Hey, yes.
Hi. What was your
So I've been doing keto since July, and I lost 45 pounds in about 5 months.
Good.
Well, about 2 months ago, I had pretty significant hair loss, like hair thinning, and so I kind of backed off a little bit. I wasn't sure what was causing it. So I stopped the intermittent fasting, kind of was a little bit more lenient on my macros. Not bad. I mean, I still stayed on the keto diet, but probably stayed under 30 carbs a day, 30 grams. I started taking collagen powder. I started taking B complex vitamins, and my hair is definitely growing back. But I've also started working out, like strength training. Because I was running, have muscle atrophy, no doubt. I mean, it really affected my hip, so I stopped running so much. So that's when I started doing the strength training. Well, since then, I've completely stalled out on my weight. I've gone back to, doing my carbs under 20 grams again since my hair's growing back. But I want to build muscle. I want to keep my hair, and I still want to lose about another 15 pounds. But I didn't know how I need to adjust my macros because I am working out more. I am definitely hungrier more. And so, the traditional nutritional people will say, well, you're not getting enough protein. You're not getting enough protein. Well, I don't know how to do that on keto to not get too much protein but have enough.
Okay, good. This relates to this last point I'm going to bring up. So this is like perfect timing. I couldn't time it better. So thank you for bringing up this question. So let's talk about this. So Karen, there's one more piece of information that I need to share with people, and that is basically people like want to know: do we need more carbs to grow muscle and body protein, like hair and nails? Do we need more carbs for that? Have you ever heard that before?
Yes.
Yeah, so people are doing carbo loading, and they're just like, oh yeah, I got to build muscle, got to, you go to GNC and buy all that carbohydrate and protein. Or do you need to consume more protein to build more muscle mass? That's another question. Okay, so I'm going to do a whole video on this, but I do need to spend a couple of minutes explaining this one point, and this is very important. We don't need carbohydrates to grow muscles or hair or body protein. Carbohydrates are not a requirement to grow any body protein. What is a requirement is growth hormone. You need growth hormone. Do you need insulin? Yes, you also need insulin. You don't need carbohydrates, but you need insulin. You need normal insulin. The problem with people is most people, 60 to 70% of people, are insulin resistant, which means they have a lot of insulin, but it's not working for them. So right there, that's going to decrease the protein that goes in the muscle, the hair, the nails, the collagen, everything. That's why diabetics, pre-diabetics have like a lot of loose skin and things like that. So we need growth hormone. That's the most important thing, because growth hormone is the key hormone that makes everything work and helps your tiny energy factories make body tissue. So now that leads us to the question is, how do we increase more growth hormone? Do we add more protein? Not necessarily. You want to have a moderate amount of protein. You definitely do not want to go low protein. Do we need carbohydrates? No, we need to do less carbohydrates and to fix the insulin resistance, so now our proteins will be going in. What stimulates growth hormone the most is what, Karen? Out of all the things, what would stimulate growth hormone the most?
Intermittent fasting and exercise.
Gosh, she knows all the answers. Yes, she is correct. And out of the intermittent fasting and exercise, which one is the one that stimulates it more?
Exercise.
No, it's the intermittent fasting.
I don't know why I'm here, actually.
No. So intermittent fasting basically will increase by like up to 1,000 to 2,000%. Exercise will stimulate it between 400 to 700%. So sleep will do it. Getting some more sleep. Keeping your blood sugars from going too high will increase growth hormone. Also, moderate amount of protein, keeping your sugars low, because when you increase too much sugar, you nullify growth hormone. But for the caller, you might want to add maybe up to 8 ounces of protein in a meal and see if that doesn't help you. But to build protein, you also need other things like vitamins and minerals from the food. You also need the trace minerals too. So that's one point I want to tell Leslie. You might need trace minerals. On that note, guys, thank you so much for watching. Great questions. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.